In about an hour or so, the Waitangi Tribunal is expected to publish a far-reaching report after its urgent inquiry into the government's plans to introduce bills either removing or rewriting the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. Various claimants have been in front of the Waitangi Tribunal since this government was elected. And as a result of that, the Waitangi Tribunal today will publish something called Ngā Matapono, the Principles, an interim report of the Constitutional Kaupapa Inquiry Panel on the Crown's Treaty Principles Bill and Treaty Clause Review Policies. Now, all indications are that this is going to be a damning report, and all indications are, certainly in conversation with some of the claimants, that this report will condemn this government today. The partners, National New Zealand First and Act, for, amongst other things, relegating or seeking to relegate, God, I wish I'd do it a bit quicker, Te Mana o Te Waia and the iwi voice and the water reforms, the repeal of Section 7AA, which requires a runga tamariki currently to provide a practical commitment to the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi. Obviously, the bill that David Seymour is working on at the moment to do with the Treaty Principles Bill, and plans to change the Marine and Coastal Act, we've talked about that, to make it harder for iwi groups in particular and Maori groups to have their customary marine title recognised. In actual fact, seeking to correct a grievous problem that the High Court would seem to have created. Now, can I just say, that report is going to be damning of the government, but I want to tell you this, the real reaction of this government to that Waitangi Tribunal report and inquiry panel today should be this: get rid of the Waitangi Tribunal. Abolish it. Don't play around with it. Don't seek to amend any of the way its constitutions or its conventions or its staff or its funding or even its act. Just get rid of it. Because the Waitangi Tribunal is stuffed with biased, partial, political appointees, and 14 of the 20 tribunal members are of Maori descent, and proudly of Maori descent, with many steeped, like Derek Fox, for example, in Maori activism. The idea that you are going to get anything that is other than activist and partial from the Waitangi Tribunal is a bit like a fantasy. You are always going to get from the Waitangi Tribunal, with its composition and makeup, something that is inherently biased and inherently favours Maori claimants in any desire that they wish to have to advance their interests against the interests of democracy and the New Zealand government. Most of the appointments of the Waitangi Tribunal, of the 20, were made by the previous Labour Green governments since 2017, and they are not representative of New Zealand. They sway appallingly towards Indigenous activism. They seem to refuse to admit that there is in actual fact an elected government running this country, elected by the people, you and I, who make the laws of this country, and they stray very, very often into challenging the right of an elected representative group, the House of Representatives, the democratic foundation of this country. They seem to stray into the area that they are not entitled to make any legislation or policy that in any way contravenes what they consider to be, the Waitangi Tribunal consider to be, the widest and most important issues of Māori. They are also challenging directly, and they will today in their Waitangi Tribunal report, the right, or in fact the democratic right of New Zealanders to choose our representatives. Last October, this country went to an election. It was a colourblind election in one sense, in that everybody of every ethnicity, provided they were a New Zealand resident, could vote. And we did. Although even then, you might argue that there was an element of racism involved by having simply Maori seats. One particular Indigenous group advantaged over all others. But that was the way the election rose. Those were the rules. And we, as the people of New Zealand, chose a government that consists of the National Party, an ACT, and New Zealand First, who had extraordinarily clear policies, particularly in this area of judicial activism, of Indigenous activism, of seeking to broach, if you like, the issue of how are we going to run the future of this country if we advantage one Indigenous group over all others who live here. And so New Zealanders voted overwhelmingly for a centre-right coalition partners who had clearly mandated policies about what they were going to do in all of the issues that are currently before the Waitangi Tribunal. There is not one issue before the Waitangi Tribunal, or will be covered in the Waitangi Tribunal report, that was not extensively debated, discussed, and promoted by those three constituent parties at the last election, and in the coalition agreements that were then duly signed between National, New Zealand First and ACT. They simply endorsed. They didn't make this stuff up. They'd gone to the New Zealand public and said, if you vote for us, we will do this. And a significant majority of New Zealanders voted not simply for the representatives that were duly elected, but probably more importantly, the policies, the programs that were clearly outlined in significant detail prior to New Zealand casting that vote. So the Waitangi Tribunal isn't having a go at the government. That is a misnomer. The Waitangi Tribunal in its report today is having a go at us all. It is saying, we do not believe in democracy. We do not believe in the majoritarian approach that is democratic representation in this country. We believe that we can, as some sort of quasi-Supreme Court, strike down, or should be able to strike down, things, policies, programs, legislation that has been chosen and endorsed by the New Zealand people. The Waitangi Tribunal's report today, as I said, it will not attack simply the government and the policies that have been promoted over the last 8 to 10 months, or the last 10 months, isn't it now? But it will attack us. It is a direct attack of us and our right to choose our representatives and our policies and our way of living in this country. The tribunal is at war with democracy, ladies and gentlemen, with the fundamental principles of equity and equality, and is so partial and opinionated that it regards itself, as I said, as a quasi-Supreme Court on all matters, not simply Maori, but at any intersection where Maori interact with the state. It expects to be the final moral and political arbiter. And just, can I just give an illustration of how it was always set up to sabotage this incoming government? On the 1st of September last year, on the 1st of September, okay, 2023, Chief Judge, as she now is, Karen Fox, of Maori Ngāti Porou descent, did a PhD, I think, in Ngāti Porou legal system, was appointed as both the Chief Judge of the Maori Land Court and as the Chief Judge, obviously, of the Waitangi Tribunal as well. Now, that appointment was made on the 1st of September last year by an outgoing Labour government who knew that their number was up, but were determined to stack the Waitangi Tribunal with activists and sympathisers and fellow travellers, to the extent that 14 of the 20 tribunal members are, as I said, of Maori descent. 70% of them, and most of them with a background in sympathy towards Maori and Indigenous activism in this country. It was an act of political sabotage by the last government. It was determined to be. They knew that their number was up. They shouldn't have been appointing anybody on the 1st of September, but oh no, they made damn sure they got Karen Fox in as the Chief Judge of the Waitangi Tribunal and the Maori Land Court as well. It is time to get rid of the Waitangi Tribunal. It is a divisive, partial, biased organisation. It is riddled with political appointments, and it will always be, if you like, a vehicle to undermine the democratic political systems of this country, and particularly the right of New Zealanders to choose its own representatives, espousing policies that are in accord with the public will. This tribunal must go. It must be abolished. And everyone who currently takes large sums of money from us, the New Zealand taxpayer, to work against us and to sabotage the democratic will of New Zealanders, they must go too. Those are my thoughts. What are yours?